Oh. So welcome again, everyone. My name is Dennis Baker. I'm the business program director. One thing I didn't get to mention in the top half is we roughly have about 300 submissions every time we do this. So out of 300, these people made it. So give them a hand again. So a big reason we do these is not only to meet filmmakers, but also hear their stories to encourage our actors to create their own work. We're really big about that. So we're going to hear from them about how they did that themselves. But first, let's introduce names and projects and what you did on it. So we'll start here.
Hello, I'm Ziegel, and I directed Why the Sea is Boiling.
I'm Gabriel Olson. I did The Bridge Partner, the one with the ladies playing bridge.
I'm Kellen Gibbs. I was the writer-director of The Moment I Was Alone.
What's going on? My name is Xavier Burgin. I'm a director and co-writer of On Time.
Hi, I'm Melanie D'Andrea, writer-director of South Arcadia Street, about the young boy who goes into school. Yeah.
I'm Matthew Irving Epstein. I wrote and directed Cuddle Party.
Great. So we have cast and crew we're going to acknowledge. How we're going to do this is there are a lot of people that shout outs. So once the filmmaker gets done saying everyone's name, let's give them kind of a group round of applause versus every individual, because we'll be here for 30 minutes clapping everyone out. So mention everyone that's here on part of your project.
We have Joseph Hooten and J.J. Rubin, who are producers, and then Michael O'Connor, who was the composer.
Give a hand. Give them a, say hi.
There they are.
There you go. Clap it out.
We have Catherine Carlin right there. And I don't think anyone else came.
Okay.
Nope.
We have Rochelle Goldsmith, my producer, and one of our lead actresses, Jordan Knapp.
Say hi. Congrats.
So we have the lead actress Ingrid Tudor right there. And in the back, probably hiding, is my co-writer, Tierra Marshall. Go ahead.
Not 100% sure who's here, but I think it's amazingly appropriate that it's the cast. So Edwin Walker, who we have Ricky Flowers Jr., and Miss Vanessa Bourne. You can raise your hands. Thank you so much.
Say hi.
I have here David Wilkins, who plays Harinanda, the lovely man in the turban. He's also a producer. I have Terrence Bernie Hines here, who plays Billy. I have Amanda Gavlik here, who is Harinanda's lovely wife who loses her husband, and a producer, and my producer, Tara Tomicevic.
Give him a hand. So for my panelists, it starts with story and script, because you can't make a film without that. So talk a little bit of the process of where your story came to be, a little bit of the writing process for each of your projects. And we're going to start down that way and come this way. So,
well, the inspiration for Cuddle Party is I went to a cuddle party. And I went in very much as the asshole two main characters, being like, oh, this is going to be horrible. But when I went in, I saw it was actually this thing that was like really beautiful, and people were getting a lot out of it. So I decided to write a story that, you know, showed this world that was pretty normal, but throw in these two horrible people. And I wanted to do the story for a really long time, and I tried to incorporate it into other different things, like pilots that I was writing and web series that I was writing. And I just eventually decided to make it a short and just plowed forward, and yeah, got it done.
For me, I do a lot of documentary work, and it was based a lot in South Los Angeles. And my sister's also an educator she was in Orlando. So she had students who were homeless mixed with students who were in Mercedes-Benzes. So we always discussed the disparity. And I just felt I really had something to say about misunderstanding someone in an instant of their life. And we don't really know the background that they're dealing with and all of the societal pressures, issues around that individual. And thus was born South Arcadia Street.
So essentially, what we start off with this is there was a story of a woman named Shanisha Taylor out in Arizona where, sometimes truth can be stranger than fiction, is, she had this similar situation happen to her, except it was with 2 children, 1 and 2. The only difference in hers is that her mugshot went viral, and she was able to get a lot of help, a lot of money from many people that wanted to see her, do better. But when I read that story, the thing that, popped into my head was, what happens to the millions of other women of color who go through these situations and aren't given that 1 in a million chance to be able to get out of it. So that's, essentially what it really was wrought from.
The idea was brewing in my head for probably about 3 years, and I was going to New York Film Academy, graduated in September, and this was my thesis film. So I just wanted to kind of explore the extent of loneliness and how time really affects people, and to the extent on both ends. When you get to see people in this how would I say it? It's like taking an outside perspective of people and looking at them for my main character, while also feeling what the main character is feeling. I thought that was really interesting, just to explore that idea. So I was happy I got the opportunity to do it.
Okay, so yeah, I did the bridge partner, and I was searching to find a story about women playing bridge. No, it's not true. I do commercials a lot, and I was searching for a story that I thought would be, a world to create, something interesting and different. And I came across this short story by Peter S. Beagle, same title. He wrote The Last Unicorn, which some people, it's like an old fantasy. He's a fantasy writer, and it's the one story he's written that was not in that genre. And I think the thing that attracted me about it was there was this weird wry voice, this narrator in it that gave it kind of a dark comedy hint. And so when I took the narration out, I was hoping that it would still have some of that humor there, and I heard some chuckles, so that was good. Yeah, that's it.
So I know why the sea is boiling. The script, this was a USC senior thesis film, so we're paired up with a writer. And the writer had this concept for a pedophile who believed that his urges were wrong and he didn't want to act on them. And at that point, it was kind of just like day in the life of a pedophile. And then at the end, he castrated himself. So I'm like, well, let's work on this. And so yeah, I had actually come out at the time, and I'm not equating homosexuality to pedophilia, but it was still kind of this sense that I put on myself of my sexuality is wrong and I shouldn't be having these feelings and I'm going to bottle this up. And the movie is kind of like he comes out at the end, so it's this idea that no matter what your issue is, you kind of can't deal with it alone. And obviously this is a much bigger thing that he cannot act on for other reasons. But yeah, that's how that developed.
So as we're sifting through the 300 short films that we get, 2 big things that stand out is, 1, production quality, and 2nd, the idea of too many people write feature films and short film length type things and cram too much. So for the people who are trying to create short films or write short films, what would you be in your encouragement of what's the unique struggles of writing a short film? What did you keep in mind to make sure to make the short film unique to that structure versus making a feature film or something? And we can just popcorn it, whoever wants to kind of share your process in writing a short film.
All right.
Go first.
I mean,
always happens.
I think one of the most important things when it comes to writing the short form is that there needs to be a necessity of having a small amount of time and not trying to tell a story that's too big. I think it's very important in features as well for each scene, each thing that's happening to have an effect that, therein leads to that next scene. But it's even more important within the short form that it can't be this happens and this happens and this happens. To be, this happens and because of that this happens, because of that this happens. And if you have that type of cascading effect, then when you finally hit that point that's you're trying to hit, it's going to hit a lot harder because the entire story has led into itself rather than it being just a mismatch of many things.
Nice. I think I'm going to be a little bit disruptive, and my professors from USC will probably scream at me for saying this, but I really think that it's important to really have that developed world as if it was a feature, and then just study what is the most impactful moment, and that's your short film. Because when you're working with actors specifically, and they can attest to it, we had to just workshop who they were, because it explains why they're doing what they do in the present moment, even if it's 8 minutes of a life. So go for it and create that crazy story and then focus on the moment.
I would say more than with a feature film, you really want to focus on a character arc. I feel like with a short film, like you said, you just want to focus on one moment in that character's life more than their full arc, and hopefully get across some sort of theme.
I kind of went about it the same way I would go about a feature, and just tried to condense. Because in features you have B stories and you have all this other stuff going on, but with a short film, you get right to the point. And actually, with my film, it was a lot longer, and we condensed a lot of stuff. So I don't know if that's writing or editing that fixed that up, but yeah, just getting straight to the point of what you want to say with your message, and going from there.
I'll give a specific example from my film. First I'll say, she just said it in different words, but a feature film, your characters have an arc. In a short film, I think they have more of a realization. So, and with my story, since I was adapting it from a short film, a short story, I was really worried about not earning the ending, because there was a 25-page short story, and I turned it into a 12 minutes short film. So I ended up cutting off the whole back end of it, and I wrote it, and I wrote the full thing, and I gradually kept chipping away at it, realizing no one's going to believe if she actually goes and murders her and stalks this woman. What actually happens in the short story is Maddie, the protagonist, follows the other character, and what they do in a short story so easily. It says, from that day on, she followed her every night and sat outside of her, and I was like, sat outside of her condo watching, and I was like, how am I going to do that? I'm going to show a pile of cigarettes outside her car. I can do that and people understand, but it's not going to show the transformation or feel earned. Whereas if I just pick my favorite moment, the moment that I thought where she kind of has that turn where she thinks or considers seizing her strength, that will be, enough for the short.
For our actors in the room, let's talk a little bit about your casting process. What was the process? Did you write with any actors in mind? Did you do a traditional casting sessions? Kind of just talk about the process of finding your actors and what that process was like for you guys. And again, anyone can start.
Well, the interesting thing for me was I was at SC, and I was in this class called a 546 where, they essentially fund a film that you end up making. It wasn't like, this one was in another class, but I was in a class, and, I had seen Inger in, one of the films. And that semester, like beyond a shadow of a doubt, she was the strongest actress that was in all three of them. And I immediately said, like, I need to work with her at some point. So when it came around to the next semester and I knew I wanted to make this film, I specifically reached out to her and said, I need you to be in this. And it was interesting because she had told me at that time she had disavowed from doing any more short films. So I was like, that's not good. but I sent it to her, and I prayed, and she got back to me, and she was really feeling it, and that was like one of the ways for me in that I watch other films, And if I see a good actor or actress, I immediately say, I'm going to need to try and reach out to them, try to find them, and try to work with them, because more often than not, beyond anything else, the best way that I'm going to know that you are a strong actor or actress is if I see you be amazing on screen. And that's going to be the biggest indicator as to, am I going to reach out to you and try and bring you into something when I have something that pertains to you. I don't want to. I'll do it quick. The little girl. So crazy thing with that is I was going through everything, and there was this amazing actress who was in American Horror Story, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's great. I have to work with her. And I had my producers like reaching out, and they told me, Xavier, you should, at least do some auditions. I was like, no, I know what I'm doing. This is all I want. But they made me do it. And I was going through it. And Arija, the little actress, came in. She was probably the youngest person to come in there, because at that point, I believe she was 7. And, she started talking to me. And I was like, Lord, this is different. I'm having a very grown-up conversation with a 7-year-old. I threw away the script, and I was like, just talk to me for a second. Let me get to know you. And by the time it was done, about 25, 30 minutes later, she left out. I called my producer, said, stop going for the little girl that we were looking at from American Horror Story. She's amazing, but I found the right person for this. And it was just a case of that she came in there, and I just had an immediate gut reaction and connection with her. And whenever my gut just hits me, I know I have to go that route.
Similarly, with the young actress from our film, we were having a bunch of actors come in, and they would do the scene, but they were kids reading lines, because kids read lines. And then I'd be like, hey, like, what's your favorite book? And they told me their favorite book, and I'm like, well, JJ, our producer, like, hates that book, actually, so can you, like, tell him why he should like it? And a lot of them would kind of launch into just, like, describing the book, but she went, well, first of all, you should like every book, because books transport you to another world. And then and then she like jumped into explaining the book, and I'm like, oh my God, this girl's awesome. So yeah, just really, and then also with the main character, just when you're in that room and you can just like sense there's just something extra or whatever about them that just really fits the part.
I have similar things. I wanted to tone in and say, when you cast children, I feel like you're casting the child rather than casting the part. So you kind of have to feel it out, and a lot of the auditions with us was just talking and getting to know the kid to make sure that she would be good on set and just enjoy being around us. But as for my casting director, she worked really, really hard on ours, and sadly, if you saw the dedication at the end, she passed away right before we started filming. Like, I think it was a couple weeks before we started filming. And she worked really hard on it, and because she had to cast all the Frozen people as well, which is not easy. Yeah. And then, she helped out. And Jordan Knapp over here, one of my friends from school, and I think as far as casting main roles or casting someone you're going to be working with for a long time, you have to have a really good connection with them, or just a relationship where you can talk to them not just as the director but as a friend. And that's what I got with her and with the rest of the cast, which was really nice.
I'll just jump in because our process was completely different in that we didn't audition any of the roles. I had originally written the script with Rob Hubel in mind, and I reached out to Jill Soloway, who is my executive producer, and I said, I really want Rob for this. And he said yes right away, which was amazing. And then Michaela, soon after, I emailed her. She said yes right away. And then Tara reached out to Yvette Nicole Brown, and we made her the offer, and she said yes right away. And then everybody else is kind of like friends of friends, really. Like, David found me Terrence, which was a perfect match, and Tara found me David, and everyone else. Amanda's my fiance. So the whole cast, it was like a real cuddle party because we were just all friends.
That's awesome. For our film, we had casting. And what's a shame about casting is that it feels like it's speed dating, but on crack even. You just have to figure out an actor, and if you work together, and it's so weird. And I tend to be a rebel with producers and really ask for time with actors. In this case, I had it because it was a graduate film project, and they can tell you the truth though, so I would talk to the actors of what happened in the room. But for me, it's really important to see if someone's willing to be very vulnerable and make mistakes and fail. And because in that failure, communal failure, we find brilliance, right? So it was great to see some of these actors come in, and I love giving a second direction, even if it's way off, and see if they go for it, if they believe it, if they put their hearts in it. And with these characters and these actors, they really believed in the story so much that it read in their vulnerability. So even if a specific take of the performance wasn't good, I was like, I see what you're doing. I see you're willing to put yourself there. Let's try this crazy thing called making a movie together. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, with the bridge partner, my process was more similar to, but I didn't audition anyone. I brought in, well, first of all, just say that I selfishly, like when I found this story and I started working on it, several of my friends were like, oh, you should make it all, make everyone in their 20s. And I said, no, that's not possible for this world. And I also, in the back of my head, I was like, maybe I'll find really experienced actors that are like interested in playing different characters and not playing moms or wives. So that was very much in the front of my mind, that these were fun characters that would be nice opportunities for people. I had an executive producer who had some relationships with, I think, with Sharon Lawrence. So I wrote a very impassioned letter to her as to why she had to be in it. And she strangely called me out of the blue while not out of the blue. She got my letter, but I was driving on the freeway, location scouting, and she was like, oh, this is Sharon Lawrence. And I was like, oh. And I pulled over, and then I got back on the freeway and exited, so it was safe. So it was great. She really liked it, and she then mentioned some concerns she had about it, which was strangely, she'd been, of course, given a draft from 3 weeks prior with a bunch of stuff that I'd cut out. The fight scene, not in there anymore. And then from her, I had, I think Beth came on next. Also, I wrote a letter, and it was really interesting. She said, this character is, Beth Grant played Maddie, by the way. She said, this character is me if I hadn't gotten on the bus and gone to New York to pursue acting. All her, I think, her community or friends that she went to school with play bridge, and she felt like an outsider there. And I felt so lucky to have someone, especially given that I didn't get to actually audition her, to find out she had this connection to the character. And Robert Forster was similar. And then, of course, Catherine Carlin, who played the Queen Bee in charge of the Bridge Club, Beth referred me to her, or referred her to me. And then I watched her reel, and I was like so impressed because it was all over the place. There was a little bit of everything. And because I adapted the character, her character really there wasn't much in the script or in the short story really, and I got on the phone with her and she brought so much, she had so many ideas about who she was and all this stuff, and she really brought it to life, so I give her a lot of credit for making my poor writing look good.
Nice. Give us a little behind the scenes. How many days did you shoot, locations, kind of give us a little glimpse into that production process, so anybody can start.
We shot for 3 weekends. My producers are better at this. They're nodding. Okay, 3 weekends. It was all in the USC area. What was the other parts of it? That was it. There was a dream sequence that we shot at a state park that didn't make it in, but that was really pretty and fun. We had like a whole, he was the walrus, and we had a table set up, and there was like we were fighting sun, we were fighting tide, and we were fighting like everyone looking. It was, so that was a fun location.
Sorry.
How many days? Where did you shoot?
We shot 3.5 principal days, and then I had a pickup day as well. We shot at the La Cañada, the Thursday Club or the Tuesday Club, I can't remember. It said on the end of the credits, which is a 100-year-old women's social group club. And then we also shot at, and this is key to get actors that are really dedicated to your project, we shot at Beth Grant's house. She volunteered it, I didn't ask. What was the other part? Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
We shot for 6 days, shot on the back lot for the city street in Manhattan Beach. And then the first 2 days, all the house scenes are all in one house that we just jumped to different bedrooms. So we were really lucky. We got this big house and we were able to film off of that. 6 days, one night scene, which was a library. That's why you don't see any windows or any lights coming in. And yeah.
So for us, it was 3 days of shooting. First day we were out, smack dab in South Central, right beside USC. Next day we went to USC. We were shooting there. We also did all of the driving scenes. We knocked that out on the USC campus as well. And then for the final day, I can't remember the name of the place, but we're out, more towards the beach. And, we essentially for that one had to play it off as if we were still within LA and really make sure, folks didn't know it was like so pretty. So, yeah.
So a thing about low budget is that you have to make a lot of sacrifices. For us, it was time for our locations. Shooting at a school is quite expensive. And so we shot the whole film in 17 hours. We did it the actors, they were awesome because we really couldn't use the time on set. We had to rehearse a lot. So they were so patient with me. It's like, hey guys, another rehearsal, please. 17 hours. We did a total, I think, of 14 hours at the school location over 2 days because it's a school and it's complicated, but I won't bore you with that. And then 3 hours on the exterior location for the shooting.
We shot 2 days in a house in Hancock Park. We didn't have a permit, which for those outside scenes, some people were screaming at us, "We know you don't have a fucking permit." But we pulled it off, so we didn't need the permit.
Matthew, you're my perfect segue because I was just about to ask what, in your guys' shoots, what things happened behind the scenes that we saw the final product, but like if you knew what we had to do to make that happen, like get yelled at by neighbors, to kind of get an idea of like just kind of the work it goes into to making the final product that you made.
While we were shooting the final shot, that's the slow push of them on at the end. Not only was that woman screaming, "We know you don't have a permit," she was screaming, "Turn off the lights," and their air condition, their like central air was like a jet engine, and it's just this intimate moment between the two actors, and somehow the sound editor managed to get the jet engine out of there, but it was brutal, and it was like 11 o'clock or something, and you're not allowed to shoot in Hancock Park after 10 p.m. And I think we just did 12 takes, just like slowly pushing in on them. And I was just saying, just improvise. I don't care about the lines, like, because they were like, I was like, these are the moments. These are the beats of the scene. You guys are like, you feel bad. You're like, but it worked for us. Should we go home and cuddle? I was like, just get those 3 points across. And I think that was the second take out of like 12.
I have two stories. One is the final scene where he talks to the therapist. He was doing an incredible job, but there just wasn't, I don't know, it was just like something not going on internally. So I'm just like, hold, and I had them roll, and then I brought him, we were shooting a soundstage, so I brought him to the other side of the soundstage. I'm like, let's just like pace around. And so we just like I set up a circle and we just did weird pacing. I'm like, now let's do weird breathing. Let's do like one slow breath and like 2 quick breaths. We did, oh God. And then like 2 fast breaths and 1 slow breath. And then I'm like, now let's add in the walking. So we're just like, our whole crew's waiting for us and we're just like doing circles and hyperventilating. And I'm like, okay, now like go and tell her what you need to tell her. And then he did that in 1 take. So that was really cool and important to like just get that physically in order for it to come out. And then the other thing was that because we're working with a little girl, we didn't really rehearse with her because we wanted her takes to be as fresh as possible. And then I was also like, don't worry about the script. So most of the scenes with her were pretty improvised, especially the scene of him yelling at the end. I was like, you want to stay here, you want to play board games, like do whatever you can to stay in this house until you feel unsafe and you have to leave. And that was sweet. He like came up to her and he was like, hey, like I'm sorry for yelling at you. But yeah.
So for us, there was two specific things. So one of the things is the scene that you see when she's in the elevator, and you know when she's going through it, she's so happy that she was able to like get to this point and get that job. And what we were going through it for, I feel like for a lot of actors and actresses, is you know those emotional moments. It's not easy to get there, and it takes a second. And sometimes it takes a few takes to get to that point, but you know, you keep on going through it. And when I was working with Inger, I remember like we did this first take, then we did the second take, then we did the third take, and I could kind of see the emotions were building in her in that, and we kept on going to another take, then another take, then another take. And for one moment, I looked at my producer and I asked her like, am I doing the right thing here? Like, I'm really pushing her and I'm not sure. And my producer said, just do it one more time. Do you feel like you got what you needed? Because one of the things about these films, and it's something we said before about the moments, is the best short films lead up to one moment where you feel it in your gut. And if you don't get that moment right, then the rest of the film really falls apart. So I told Ingrid, do it for me one more time. She went through it in there. And, you know, I saw like the breakdown, the tear, thank you, God. And you know, it hit me in my gut. And I knew I had what I needed. And the minute she got done, I ran up to her and I hugged her and I said, thank you. Thank you so much for that. And what was funny is later on, you know, we were looking at it. And we saw that my DP was apologizing to me like later on because he was in the edit with me, because we saw those ones and we saw that specific one was a little fuzzy. The sharpness wasn't as, you know, focus wasn't as much there as it needed to be. And I specifically told my DP who was in it with it, I was like, I don't care. This is the performance. I'm going with this regardless, because while the one was good, that one was the moment that I needed, and that small technical error did not, you know, take over what was there and what ultimately made that moment. So just something to keep in mind that I think is, if the moment, the emotion is there first and foremost, I don't care about any other stuff. It could be wrong. There could be someone, you know, tap dancing in the back of the scene. I don't give a damn. If the moment is there, I'm using that take. Now, the second thing that we had was the little girl. One of the beautiful things about children is that they want to know that you are happy with them on set. So they will, you know, go above and beyond to make you happy as a director. And, you know, we were doing that final scene where she gets taken away by the cops. And I was telling her, you need to fight. You need to kick, you need to scream, you have to get away from that cop and get back to your mother. And I said, do whatever you have to get away from him. And we were going through it a few times, and then I don't know what happened. I'm focused, and then pow, she gets elbowed in the face. And we see a little blood come out, and I'm just like, oh, Jesus Christ. And we stop everything. I run up to her. I'm like, oh, my God, are you okay? We can stop right now. I bring the studio teacher over there, you know, check her out. I bring the mom over there, and I specifically tell them, like, if you want to be done with this, I'll be done with this, because at the end of the day, you know, I love that little girl. She was amazing. And, of course, I want her to give me the best performance, but I'm never going to put a child's life in danger. So, you know, I walked away. I let them talk to her. And, you know, she wiped off the little blood on her face. She came over to me. She was like, I'm ready to go. And I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? She's like, yes, I got to get this right. And came back in there, that next tape, ooh, she fought like a maniac, and it was beautiful. And it's one of those things that I just needed that because, for a second, she was kind of just, laying limp when the police was taking her. And the whole thing about it is, I know a child, if they are scared, if they are frightened, they are gonna fight. And we needed to see that. And after that moment, she gave that to me.
Good, yeah.
For us, quickly, I'll mention one and then the important one. Filming at a school is difficult, but we found a Catholic school in South LA, and it was important for me for it to be in South LA because they do look very different, the schools in South LA. The Catholic school made me write a report of why this film was Catholic and appeal to Catholic beliefs. True story. And I did not lie. I said there is profanity, there is this and this, but there's this higher meaning in the film, and that's what. So anyway, there was that. So we got it. But really, I guess for us, we're all talking about that moment, and it tends to be the end of the film. And actually, the end of our film was different in script, and it was the same script that we used shooting day. But our AD, who I love, forgot to call in the actress who played the principal, because she was supposed to bring in the teacher, and there was this whole other moment. And he tells me, like, right before we had to shoot, and we have no time, he goes, I forgot to call her. She's an hour and a half away. What do we do? And I look at him, and these are one of those filmmaker moments, and you're like, okay. The reality is this is the rewriting that's happening. And I look at him, I go, oh my God, it's such a better film. He goes, are you kidding me? Are you being sarcastic? Am I fired? I go, no, it's brilliant. Thank you so much. And I hugged him, and I was so grateful because then Vanessa Bourne, who played Miss Ramirez, was able to have that final moment of realizing that she's alone in the classroom without help. And it was beautiful. So I thank him for that moment. And if I hadn't been open to everything that goes wrong in film, because you're not making a movie if things aren't going wrong, it wouldn't have happened. So there you go.
Well, I can't imagine what that was like. No, I actually had something similar happen. The schedule thing, I think whenever you're making probably anything, but there's a tendency to say, wow, it's ambitious, but hell, we're going to do it. And then like around just right after lunch, it usually sets in what you've accomplished and that maybe you won't do it. And there's a choice then, I think, the choice for me on the first day after spending like a year rewriting this thing was like, well, do I keep going or do we rush through and just cover it all as quickly as possible, or do we just focus and get what I can really well to the best of my ability? And I chose the former. No, I'm kidding. I chose to just try and do everything as well as I could, and then figure it out that night, which led to me staying up till 4 a.m. with all the scenes laid out and tearing up and rewriting and throwing away 7 scenes of the film, and I also relate that I totally feel like I can't imagine what that 25-minute film would have ended up being. So much better to cut out this long, arduous murder scene and all these other different things. So, yeah, sometimes things really work out for the better.
We like to wrap it up with what we call a golden nugget question, and we'll start here and just work your way down. If audience, people watching the video, don't remember anything, what would be the one thing you'd want to leave them with if they were going to make a short film, the one thing that you want them to remember in that process? No pressure.
Yeah, thanks. Oh boy. I guess I'll just echo what I said before, and that's just to let you mean what to take away from the film or what to take away from making a film?
Making the film.
Okay. I guess I like what I said before, where you have to let the movie and the actors kind of tell you what the story is going to be, because you're not going to get, to a certain point, you're not going to get an actor to do what the actor doesn't want to do, and at a certain point, the actor knows the character better than you, and at a certain point, the story knows what it wants to be better than you in like a weird sentient way. So just kind of every day and every step of the process, forgetting what it's been and kind of bringing the truth out of what it's becoming.
Boom.
Got that out. That's good.
It's like parenting advice too.
Yeah. We'll play in a lot of situations.
Yeah. Be your best self. I think for me, I guess I would say the nugget. All right. Don't try and do too much. I think a lot of times people try and write this masterpiece that's saving the world or taking on, God, I don't know, what's the saying? It's like, don't, the story goes, Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. That's enough of a story and how those two react. It's not Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water and solve the Syria crisis, It's like we all care about those issues, and I think there's ways of dealing with it, but the way we connect or relate is usually in relationships between a couple characters. So
I'm gonna spitball off of what you said because it was really good. But just the film you have before you start production, and I guess this goes with films in general, might not be the best film that you're gonna end up with. So roll with the punches as you go with it. Make those decisions. Don't hold on to everything, but hold on to what you want to tell.
There comes a point in time when you're specifically dealing with actors and actresses where you as a director have to let go, in the sense of you have found these people that you connect with and believe in that can bring those characters to life, and you have to allow them to do that. Too many directors feel like they have to be a complete dictator in the sense of telling the actor or actress to do this, think about this way. But at some point, you need to leave them be and allow them to immerse themselves within that role, within that character, and you therein become the architect to build everything together, but allow those people who are bringing your vision to life to be able to play within the realm that you have built for them. And I promise you, your film will be much stronger.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So I'm just going to snowball from what you just said. Believe in the humanity that is happening on screen so much. Believe in your characters so much and their story and how important it is. So that said, it's just so important to really believe in that. And as you said, you have to let go that you hired everyone on that set, and you have to protect why they're inspired to tell those people's story. And I think that's ultimately what you have to do on set. When everything's going crazy, when your AD doesn't call people, when you have to rewrite the scripts, it's like, okay, how do I inspire this team to tell this very powerful story, no matter what? And at the end of the day, you might have a bad film, but at least people believed in it. Maybe that's why I still need to work on getting more paid work. But I think that's the most important, and I think you nailed it.
I would say there's two things. First, hire people who are better than you. Hire people who can really bring you up and make your vision more than what you could ever imagine it could be. With Rob and Michaela, with all my actors, my producers, the whole cast and crew, I could have never imagined the film being as good as it is because I'm just one person, but with the sum of all these people, it was so much better than I could have ever imagined. And number two would really be, like, get rid of your pride. This is a short film. No one's gonna make any money off of it. So you really have to be willing to put yourself out there and ask for favors. Reach for that actor who you don't think you can get, because this is like the first thing I've ever made, and I wanted to get Rob Hubel and I wanted to get Michaela Watkins and Yvette Nicole Brown, and they all said yes. I was stunned, but they said yes. So really just get rid of your pride and reach out as far as you can and grab a hold of what you want.
Great place, Dan. Let's give him a hand. Thank you, filmmakers, for sharing your work. Thank you for coming out. There'll be some food and you can mingle and say hi and have a great evening.